Hey, everybody, this is Mr. Hanley again with a very quick video about visual rhetorical appeals. We're going to take a quick look at the end of our chapter today so you can do the assignment to close out your week on controversial images. I'm looking at page 23 in your e-textbook where it's beginning this idea, it's sort of like a strand in the course where we look at the visuals as sort of micro arguments that have a whole bunch of things packed into one, like our ethos, pathos, and logos appeals all packed into one thing. Have a great comic here. That says, if you can't read it, obviously Rosa Parks standing at the pearly gates. And it says, Rosa Parks, yes, we have something in the front row for you. And down at the bottom, I don't know if you can read it, but in kind of really small print, it says, we've been holding it since 1965. So as we look at something like this, we have really an opportunity to look at the way that, look at a text or a visual, the way that we might look at a text. So is this an appeal to ethos, pathos, or logos? Maybe a little bit of all of the above. Probably most clearly, right, an appeal to pathos, an emotional appeal as we look at this and think, well, of course, somebody like Rosa Parks is getting into heaven, right, as this might suggest. But also there's that whole idea of appeal to ethos, right, that everybody knows who Rosa Parks is. So as you scroll through your textbook, you're going to see many different examples. Here on the next page is a cartoon by Nate Beeler from 2013. I don't know why it just got massive all of a sudden. But that cartoon, right, that you can trust government as government is all looking at you through his window, through his tablet, through his smartphone, and through his television. I think it's pretty easy to see how this political cartoon appeals to pathos, logos, and ethos. We can put it all together. Right, we have this whole idea that the logos will probably look, they're not really watching you, that cartoons and things like this give us an opportunity to use humor, maybe even satire. The pathos, right, certainly is fear, that Americans are afraid of this sort of thing in general. And, you have this ethos argument, right, that can the government look at you? Should they look at you? I think this makes a really interesting argument, right, that if you kind of read it differently, it says government can you trust, or government trust can you, right, instead of you can trust government. So it's almost like a question mark coming out of there as well. So what we're really asking you to do this week as we wrap up is to look at a visual and post it into the work in the last assignment. I'm going to skip ahead here to page 32, and if you ever need to know how to do that, you just type in up here at the top and hit enter and go to that page. And it talks about taking rhetorical risks, right? And it says, the title of this, there's a reason the picture is worth 1,000 words. It's because images can misrepresent things, mislead you, shock you, make you laugh, make you cry a lot more than words can. This is why political cartoonists and politicians use them to their advantage. This is a really famous cover here. Let's see if I can blow it up here so you can see it. If you don't know who this is Dzhokhar Tsarnaev, who was the person ultimately accused of, tried of, and I think convicted, or maybe he's the guy who died. I don't really remember. But the bomber in the Boston Marathon bombing case in that year. This is controversial because Rolling Stone chose to run this image, which makes him look sort of like a airbrushed teen pop star, and certainly not the terrorist that many people think he is. And they're running it right alongside other pop culture references like Willie Nelson, Jay-Z, Rappin' Thicke, and Gary Clark Jr., right? Which is glorifying what he did. At least some people think that's what happened, right? But Rolling Stone is doing this because they want people to read their magazine. Their argument is we're going to run this article, and if you look at the subhead there, right, how a popular, promising student was failed by his family, fell into a radical Islam, and became a monster. And so they're not really showing him as a monster, they're showing him as sort of like this airbrushed teen personality. So there's some other examples you can look at. There's some commentary here that I think is really interesting. Some people even defending Rolling Stone and saying that Rolling Stone, didn't deserve the sort of hate that they got for doing that. So the activity we're going to do, and it's posted here at the bottom of the page, but I'm going to skip over to Canvas to show you where to do it. The last part of your module for the week will say Controversial Images Slideshow. When you click on that, you're going to see some instructions here, and then a link to a controversial images class presentation. Essentially, what we want you to do is do a search for political cartoons or other controversial magazine covers or any sort of image that took a risk and in doing so might have created controversy. I gave you an example on here. If you click on the slideshow, you will see two images of Harvey Weinstein. Harvey Weinstein, right, convicted of sexual misconduct and a lightning rod for the Me Too movement, depicted on the left by Variety magazine as sort of like this, kind of looks more like a mug shot, like a sweaty tooth madman, and it says "Game Over," with their masthead, their title right over his forehead. The other one on the right by Time magazine got a lot of flack for running him looking more like a playboy, I guess. He's got his collar open and he's got a suit coat on, and it says "Producer, Predator, Pariah," and they ran his face, his entire head, in front of their magazine title. A lot of people think this is controversial because it glorifies him, much like the Tsarnaev magazine cover. Maybe they should have had pictures of his victims or a cover that honored them instead of the perpetrator, right? So this is controversial. What we'd like you to do is you can just go over here and add, as you can see me doing over here, just add a slide. If you want to just use my model, you can come over here and Alt-click on your Chromebook and go duplicate slide, just like that. When you duplicate the slide, you're going to see your slide pop up. Please make sure you're on your slide. Go ahead and instead of having model, put your name there. So I'm just going to put my name on that one. And you can label your controversial image whatever you want. You can replace the pictures. You all know how to use Google Slides. And then over here on the right, we'd like you to type an explanation, hopefully using the vocabulary like ethos, pathos, and logos from the week. Hope you all enjoyed this week learning about ethos, pathos, and logos. I look forward to seeing these slides in class. I know Ms. Fauerbach does as well. And if you have any questions, don't hesitate to ask us. Have a great one.